Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 as amended on March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if there are tech problems unless required by law. Viewers can visit the localscene.media/Duxbury, formerly pac-tv, to watch a video replay of this meeting on Duxbury YouTube. So we have the minutes. Friend, did you have a chance to go through those minutes or did you want to wait?
Give me a second. I'm writing myself a couple of notes.
Oh, are you? Well, do you want to
Yes.
wait and do it Tuesday?
No, just give me a second here.
Okay, great. No worries. Anybody else? We went to the school last night, 5 of us. But unfortunately there was, I don't know what was going on, but we sat through a very interesting presentation that took us till 8 o'clock. And then there was a discussion of their budget, but we were not able to ask any questions. So they'll be here on Tuesday. Rainey was able to send out a link to the full budget in all 125 pages. That he has generously offered to print out for us, if you really need to pick it up at town hall tomorrow.
How many do we need? Because before he.
Yeah, I don't want him to do it. Who wants one?
Yeah,
Huh?
keep it on my.
No? No? And you don't really need all 125 pages. He was kind enough to do it for me. There's the part that, there's the graphs are what is interesting. So there's a lot that is data about the schools and its previous data that we've seen before and that is interesting, but perhaps not germane. So, I don't want him printing out 8 of these if he doesn't have to.
Why don't we print out a couple of copies and then I'll take it, read it Friday, Saturday. I'm going to use Sunday, Monday.
Yeah,
Or
I
something like
can
that.
I can do it on my,
You can do it on your own.
yeah, I'll take care of myself.
Okay, because you won't need all 100.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I can
print
do
it.
that.
Justin, Ashley, do you want him to print one for you or
I'll be on, I have it on machine.
you're all set?
Yeah.
Al? Okay.
So 2 copies is what I heard? Okay, we got it, done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Free.
It's fine.
All right. We,
So minutes, want to go back to that?
yep, I
The
do.
first was, this minutes that was set up was the meeting of November 4th, and I was not in attendance, so I have not read them. Well, I read them, but I don't have any opinion about them because I wasn't there.
Okay.
So did somebody else read them and would they like to?
I read them. I do not blue pencil the way you do, but they seemed accurate.
Yeah,
You agree?
I
Okay.
agree, they were accurate, but I didn't.
Blue pencil them
Correct it
either,
for
and
grandma.
that would be fine. So we have a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of November 4th, 2025 as submitted.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Not voting,
Not voting,
absent.
2 not
All
voting,
abstaining.
so we've got five yes, no, no's and 2 abstains.
Correct.
So 502.
We then also have the minutes of the meeting of November 6th, at which I was present, and I have one question.
Sure.
On the page, let me see where I get to it here. It had to do with Steve Studley's budget on rec, beach lifeguards. There was a discussion that followed that. Mr. Wilkinson asked about beach fees, and it was stated that it is handled at town hall and results in approximately $130,000. Mrs. Sullivan feels if we can provide a better product, more will be purchased. Not sure what that fee represents. I mean, it's not the beach stickers. Does anybody know what that 130,000 referred to?
I thought it was beach stickers.
Mrs. McKinnon asked about the committee.
130,000,
Is it, what, did you say 130 or?
$130,000.
Wasn't there? a
that was for
discussion
aqueducts.
No, this has got to do with beach lifeguard.
No, the,
Beach
None of the
lifeguard,
beach-
no,
the
there's-
30,000, I thought came from when we were talking about the owls.
Right. There was, there was
Yeah.
subsequent sales.
Yeah,
and
130 was, I thought, the
Oh.
aqueducts.
but it's 30, it wasn't 130.
Beach
It
fees, it
was-
was stated this.
I recall what Chuck does, that there was discussion that there was additional revenue from the.
All right, why don't we wait
The
and?
discussion on the owls is in the next section.
Yeah,
This is beach lifeguards, and I just didn't know where the 130 came from.
I think they mislabeled what we were talking about.
Do you think there was $130,000 worth of stickers sold around the owls?
No,
No.
no, it was
It was like
38,000.
30,000.
So I don't know what the 130 alludes to.
I can listen back to that.
Okay, Linda, why don't we wait?
I don't know.
We'll look at that on
Can we just-
Tuesday, if you can,
If you'd like, I can give Steve Studley a call.
oh, no,
No, no, that's okay.
She
No,
could
because
just-
I think
okay.
it's actually,
Thank you.
Mary responded, it was almost separate from the lifeguards, I think.
Okay,
Mark was asking about fees.
there we are.
all right, cool.
Bring that back. I'll resend that information.
Great. All right, so we'll wait and we'll vote the sixth next week or next Tuesday when we've clarified that that's it. Good. Okay, so back again for more fun, Sheila. Pretty excited to have you again.
You just can't stay away, can you?
Nope, and she's brought Mark, her newest partner tonight, Mark, and he's come to talk about the water department, so you see the floor, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Mark. So,
Good evening. We'll start out with the water department budget. That'll be on the first page. We start off with salaries, there's a 1.4% increase. That's basically from the steps.
Is the contract negotiations now?
We're in contract negotiations.
So this does not reflect that.
No,
Okay, thank you.
it's overtime. It's eaten up quickly with all the emergency calls that we have. We have a beaker stipend that just remain the same as for water and the distribution operator to be on call 24/7.
Contractual.
Police details, we use a lot of those when we're making repairs to water mains. We want to be safe while we're working in the street. Contractual clothing allowance. License renewals, which they don't always land every single year. Typically, they're every other year. So we don't use a full amount every time. Mileage stipend, that's for the assistant water superintendent. And then I'm requesting a second admin and staff.
That's
In the
gone down
office.
quite a bit, though, the mileage stipend of 25 was 36, 26 appropriate was 65, and then 27 is 36 again. Was there a reason it went up to 65?
I think that was an error. It wasn't actually added. It was added after the position was added to the budget.
Mileage stipend?
Yeah,
Okay,
so that we hired the assistant in 2025. That's what it was added.
but then it went back down again to 36.
Yeah, that's what it should have been.
Oh, okay, so that was an error.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right.
So I'm requesting an additional admin for the office. The number of phone calls and the workload that we have in the office is very demanding and it's too much to all fall on one staff member.
Did you
And then-
lose somebody? Was somebody rift?
Well, it did, originally we had, the office manager, which was in the DPW office, was split, and we received, about 40% of her, time to assist, and she would back up. And then we also had a part-time admin that was in my office for all her hours. So I've lost both those positions, so now it's down to just one staff member in my office. And the number of phone calls and the constant checking meter readings, the bills, everything is just too much for one.
So the admin in your office was ripped?
No.
Sheila's saying no.
Was what?
Reduction in force was
Yeah, yeah.
laid off.
Yeah.
They're saying yes, they're saying no.
Well, the office managers.
No, that was in the DPW office, and I didn't realize that they had anything to do with the water department,
Yeah, I paid a percent of her salary,
okay?
and so she was a backup. to my
This is
office.
you, Mark, right?
But she wasn't like the primary.
No.
She was just the air and a spare.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your office.
Yeah.
You've got one person there.
Yeah.
And who does the bills?
She does,
Okay.
she does everything.
She answers the phone, she does the bills.
Yeah.
She's
Phone rings on.
gatekeeper and all the
Yeah.
whole rest. And then you had a part-time person in your office?
Right.
19 hours?
Yeah.
No, she's saying no, you're saying yes.
Well,
She was in our
so,
office.
yeah, so there was a DPW office manager
Right,
last year that was Rick.
yes.
That was for the whole DPW. I believe it was 11% of her salary.
That was sewer, 33%,
Yeah,
33%
33%
water.
was from
11%
water,
sewer.
but
Okay.
she sat in my office.
Right.
And didn't do the bills or anything like that, but she would provide support if Mark's admin was out.
So she was backup.
To her, yeah, she was backup. There was also a part-time DPW administrative assistant that falls under DPW.
Yeah.
That position used to sit in Mark's office. And frankly, we had enough administrative support in the main DPW office that that part-time person did help the water department out, even though that position is technically a DPW admin position, not exclusive to water. So the person who was in that position moved into another town department. She now works in another department. It became vacant. We moved, so we advertised for the new position recently, we filled it, and that part-time admin is now in the DPW office where the office manager sat, and she's providing supportive services primarily for the DPW now.
So I get it, I hear it. You did lose the admin.
But it wasn't. There
It
was
wasn't
a
a water
part of an
department
admin
employee?
that came out of the water budget, but
It wasn't dedicated 100%.
yes.
But it sounds like,
Because of the, I'm sorry if I may,
no,
because of where this desk was situated, the physical location of the employee that moved to a different department, their physical desk was located in the water department office. However, they were budgeted under DPW admin. They were
Which I-
DPW admin employee.
I'm totally hearing that, but I'm hearing Mark say that they also worked for him.
So because of their physical location of being in there, naturally, they were
Right.
assisting in that office and provided support to the water department.
So you're looking for a part-time person?
A full time. We also don't have any coverage, so when this admin is out, whether it's sick or vacation, there's nobody to fill her position.
So that's a new position.
Yes,
So this $54,000 then is a B request.
So
Janet?
there is no
Water
fee
enterprise.
because this is an
Oh, it's
enterprise.
enterprise, sorry,
Yep, that's fine.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
oh, that's all.
So there was, I mean, and I'm not, being callous about that. There was always two people sitting in there.
There was always two people, so now the part-time admin, the DPW part-time admin is back in the DPW office. And the assistant water and sewer superintendent is now sitting in the old part-time admin seat. Just so you understand the physical layout. So that, I do support Mark's request. There is a lack of redundancy in the water office in terms of administrative staff. So you always want continuity.
And this would be covered by the Water Enterprise Fund.
Mhm.
And would they handle any responsibilities for sewer?
yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to do with sewer.
Does that screw up who pays for the salary?
We haven't taken any salaries out of sewer.
No, I know that. I'm just saying because it's coming for 100% from the enterprise fund. The enterprise fund doesn't cover sewer, it only covers water.
Well, a lot of the
Or
sewer,
am I two in the
You're in
weeds?
the weeds. You're in the weeds.
Okay, I'm just wanna make sure that we're not gonna get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is coming from the enterprise fund. The enterprise fund can then certainly support it. You support it. And you just need another person to help you cover the office.
Yeah.
Have I totally confused everyone?
No.
No, I think we got
I
it.
think you got it.
Sorry about that.
I just have a question, again,
Yes,
about
please.
this enterprise fund. How much money does what kind of revenue does the water department bring in?
That's on the, third page, I believe.
Oh, we have revenue find.
It's certainly.
Okay. You want to take care of that? Okay.
Along those lines, could I ask you a question on page 3? I noticed that you have year by year the grand total of expenses including debt service. And it shows from the revenues down below, use of retained earnings. So if I look at, I have 2 questions related to that. For the FY 27 estimate, it looks like you're going to use retained earnings to balance the budget. Is that a rolling number on retained earnings? Because I'm just trying to figure this out.
What do you mean by rolling number L?
Well, right now, it's showing me an annual retained earnings, right?
You're not seeing an
It's an
annual.
enterprise fund.
Mhm.
So if something is used from retained earnings to balance the budget, what's the year-to-year change in retained earnings?
Okay, so on these schedules that are in front of you,
Yes,
you're not seeing the balance of retained earnings at all. This is just the P and L. This is just revenues and expenditures,
okay,
not the balance sheet.
okay.
So for FY 27, we're kind of jumping way ahead, but the debt service was added to this budget. Debt service starts on the second page of this workbook. And if you look, I've highlighted a couple of items in blue and in peach to call your attention to it. This will-
don't you think it would make more sense just to table that and we'll go through it and sequentially, would that make it easier?
That would be fine.
Yep, why don't we do that out, we'll get there.
Okay, but that's fine.
Page 3 is coming,
Because
it's the hope alive.
if it's debt service and it's not part of the.
Yep.
You know, general operations, it's all included in the enterprise fund, right? Just to
Yeah.
clarify,
Yes, it is.
yes, no? Maybe, possibly,
Yes.
some of the above, all of the above. No, I'm just trying to get a grasp on what you got inside the enterprise fund and what you got outside. And I'll just be patient and wait.
You're a darling man.
Mm.
All right, Mark, now that we've gotten on who's on first game done, which was wicked fun.
Yeah,
Your request then in that 54,000 is for a secondary admin in the water department to help with coverage. Got it, and supported by Sheila. Okay, and it's in A. Moving on.
okay, so we go through retirement, life insurance, Medicare. The electric, we increased 9% over the actual cost in 2025. Was 9% over 248,000. We used 16% for propane and natural gas for heating. And the same, we went over 16% over the 2025 actual costs
Are you gonna be short in 26?
on the electric, yes.
Okay, so you've already figured out where you're gonna get that.
Yep. Hopefully.
Oh, jeez.
Marshfield Water, that's whatever goes through the master meter, the water that we buy for Gurnett Road.
But when do they bill us? They don't bill us till later. That's always a happy surprise.
Yes, twice a year. Going down, more of the basic stuff.
Excuse me, yeah, so just so, if we get billed from $105,000, we're just passing it, we're rebilling the consumer, right?
Hopefully, I mean, if there's a big leak out there or a fire, there could be a lot of water that's not consumed by the residents.
Oh, I see.
Or when we flush also. So the bill can go higher and not be directly tied to what we use for the residents.
And this might be a question for both you and Mary. On the well rehabilitation, I noticed, I see the note here, it says used ARPA the fiscal year 2025.
So you can see, there's a very low number,
Mhm.
FY 25.
Yeah.
That's because Mary was able to pay for the rehab out of ARPA funds.
Okay, I gotcha.
Now it's gone back to
Okay,
regular.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the same for the consulting service? Did that have anything to do with that went from 65,000 to 9,649.
No, that kind of just, moves around depending on what we need done. We don't always have a project that we have to hire a consultant for. Sometimes we use more than other years. And then we never know what the Mass DEP or EPA is gonna require of us. So like this year, I've hired a consultant for a couple of, jobs that the DEP is requiring.
So was it unusual in 24 and 25 that it was under 20 grand? And now we're back to, I mean, putting it as placeholder of 65,000?
Yeah, and just sometimes we just don't need a consultant for the work.
Okay. But what it's, and it just stays in the revolve, it just stays in the fund if it's
Yep.
not used. Okay.
Yeah, it's just good to have it there in case we do need it.
Medical services,
So we added that this year. That was a request by HR. That's estimated to hire 2 new employees if we had turnover.
40,000?
Oh, 800.
$800.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, yep, okay, sorry.
Training.
And, oh, the engineering service is 40, is that something you're gonna start carrying every year in case you need?
Yep,
They've had it in there. You look, there's.
Yeah.
FY 24 actual.
Right, but it was dropped in 25 and now it's back again in 26 and I was just curious.
the training, that's a requirement to maintain our licenses. And then as we hire new staff, the courses now are very costly. They're almost $1,000 for a treatment or a distribution course. So that kind of goes along with the new hires.
Does anything go on back of the engineering services, any of what that is could be covered by the new engineer that would hopefully gonna get for Sheila?
Definitely.
Yes.
So then it would true up in the following year if you're looking at what's covered internally and what we needed to farm out?
Yep.
Okay,
Well, when you say true up. you mean-
true down.
you mean-
So if you budgeted 40 because you don't have an engineer and you know it has to all be a third party, God willing, you get the town engineer, from your request, and part of their services are used by the water department, then what we would be paying a third party would be decreased on this budget. That's so true down, not true up.
That'd be a big help with all the future projects that are coming. There's PFAS and water main projects.
So would part of that salary request be covered by the water department? Or
There's certainly an argument to do so. However, I'm not sure what the recommendation is for finance on that.
not
Yeah,
yet?
it can be.
Yeah, I mean, that could help in navigating the request.
I mean, I envision that town engineer would certainly be utilized by the water department.
Yeah, we could use the support.
Absolutely.
It means something to consider to mitigate that. Anyway, go ahead.
Printing is increased drastically, and that's because we've moved to quarterly billing. We've doubled our cost.
Got it Saturday.
Testing has increased. We are now testing all the wells quarterly for PFAS. That's a little over $400 for each well every quarter. And continues to increase.
But you've got 50,000 in here, we've got 12 wells.
That, he was just saying that the reason for the increase is the added testing. But there's other testing that goes on, not just these $400 tests. that you-
Okay, thank you.
It covers everything.
Okey dokey.
Or the continues on the back of that page. Water meters. So we need to replace about at least 10% of the water meters every year, keep up with the failure rate. And in FY 25, that number was low because we also got funding, 150,000. That really helped get a good stock of meters.
Oh, good.
Yep.
With subscriptions, no, it doesn't matter, it hasn't. Anybody else have any questions? Let's stay out there.
No.
Pretty
No, it's
straightforward.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And we have the debt service, do you wanna go there?
All right, so I'll try to answer Al's question as well. So
Thank you.
with respect to the remaining set of lines, and you just also people can follow along. The water department, if you look at the section called total debt service, you'll see that in FY 26, total debt service for the water department was $540,000. But in FY 27, it almost doubles up to 1.1 million. And that is because we have now introduced the debt service financing for the DPW facility, as well as for some PFAS design and engineering services that were approved by town meeting. So those items that are highlighted in blue and peach represent the new debt, and that is what is accounting for that significant increase in the enterprise debt service. The town, when they proposed the construction of the DPW facility, it's going to house all DPW departments, inclusive of the water department. And there was a commitment that was made that 80% of the funding would be paid for by the general fund and 20% of the funding would be paid for by the water enterprise and covered by water fees. So that explains the significant increase in the debt service budget. And as a result, it also explains, now on paper, you can see the reason why we needed to increase the water rates is to start to generate enough revenue in order to cover this debt service as well as the future debt service for PFAS. In looking at the FY 27 revenues that you see at the bottom of the page, you will see that the revenues estimates, the initial estimates for FY 27 were estimated to be 4.166 million.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, that would have resulted in a deficit position for the enterprise fund. So in preparing the initial estimates, in order to balance that budget for FY 27, we proposed to use retained earnings in the amount of $125,000 in order to balance that deficit. However, if you, let me just flip through here, if you flip to the next page in your packet. Yep, okay, and it says water billing and it's a chart right here. Okay, so the question is, that we took a look at is what kind of an impact are we seeing now with the increase in the water rates? So what we did is we took a look at the previous year's commitments and revenue generated from those commitments, and then stacked it up against the new quarterly billing commitments that were recently issued. So the chart at the top is showing FY 24 when we were a semi-annual billing community. In the middle shows FY 25, and at the bottom shows FY 26, where we converted to a quarterly system. And so you will see that if you look at FY 26, we've essentially issued 2 quarterly bills or for a 6-month period, which would essentially be equivalent to the previous semi-annual cycle. Do you follow me with that? Okay.
Sure.
So in the quarterly bills that we've just recently issued, it generated 3.12 million in committed revenue and committed charges. And if you look at FY 25 above that, you look at the first 2 rows, April through October, at the previous rates, we were generating 2.4 million. And now we're generating 3.1 based on that same period consumption. So with that being said, I'm going to go back and look at the revenue estimates and try not to use retained earnings as a funding source for this budget.
So that's great on cash flow. Terrific job on that.
Correct.
But let me go back to what you said. Did I hear this correctly? It said there was a decision to make an allocation for debt service 80%
Yes.
versus 20. What was the basis for that allocation?
That was something you guys all discussed at town meeting well before I got here.
Yeah, the engineers recommended that.
Right.
Or
Oh, yeah, that was back at the very beginning discussions about the building. they thought that it was appropriate to do that because of the water department use of the facility.
Yeah, and it was part of the
Thoroughly
feasibility.
vetted by everybody and voted on repeatedly.
Thank you, appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
I have a question on this, the penalties.
Yep.
You know, the income from that has gone from like 5,000 to
Yep.
21,000. Is that just because we're finally charging them, or
Yes.
is it because people are really having a hard time paying their bills?
So we were not charging a late fee up until FY 26. And and we needed to, because we have a lot of people, when there's no penalty for not paying on time,
Right.
why pay on time?
Right.
And so we are trying to incentivize people,
Yeah.
and to make sure that for cash flow purposes, we need to make sure that this operation is viable and available. So we introduced a late fee. It had always been on the fee schedule. It just was
Just
not
never
being
done.
applied.
Yeah. I mean, are you hearing that people having a hard time making their payments?
Not so much.
Not so much, just people not paying.
Yeah.
So, and there's an interesting phenomenon, so I don't know if you're aware, but what happens is if somebody does not pay their water bill, and this is applicable to all communities, if you do not pay your water bill, the town has the option to then, at the end of the year, when we go to issue our Q3 bills, any unpaid and overdue delinquent balance on your water account can then be liened. It can be taken off your water account and put onto your real estate tax bill as a lien. And interestingly enough, there are people who choose to do that, and they let their account become delinquent. Now, they're accruing interest and penalties and late fees and you name it. But some folks, for whatever reason, choose to do that because they manage their budget by paying through their escrow account, and they continually just have that happen. And I find it interesting because it's costing them more money, but there's a behavioral practice.
That's something.
But they're taking it off their income tax.
But not anymore, because there's a limit. So it used to be advantageous that you could claim the full amount. However, municipalities have wised up on that yet many years ago. Our software vendors, people would contact the community and say, can you give me a receipt for how much I paid in real estate taxes for the calendar year so that I can claim it and write it off on my taxes? That was capped under the Trump administration to $10,000. So given that your average single family tax bill here is well over $10,000, it doesn't meet that cap. But now what happens is our software vendors have modified that report process or that receipt process to exclude the water liens because they are not reportable. It should strictly just be tax payments. So there's no real advantage.
So here's a news flash, that cap, which is called SALT, statement of taxes, has been lifted from $10,000 to $40,000.
Yeah.
So anybody that's using that as a strategy because they want to roll it into their taxes.
Whoever would have thought of that? I'm sorry.
Bingo. That's
But it's
But I want to go back to
because we
I want to go back to the main point though, which is.
Yes, please.
I got a quarterly bill from you guys, I think last week, and I paid it 2 days ago. I think it's great because you're increasing your cash flow. And I applaud that effort.
Yeah.
And, I also support your request for administrative help as well. So like facilities,
So there was no but in that one.
I'm sorry?
There's no but in that sentence. I was waiting for the but.
Well, it's just my figures of speech.
No but.
What I have a problem with is that anybody that has a need to be out in the field, and your people do, all across the board. What I have real difficulty with is somebody that's stuck behind a desk. I've talked to Sheila several times on just, random calls that I've made about certain questions on, whether it's maintenance of trees or whatever. And she's answered the phone. I didn't know it was her. She had identified herself. So I want to certainly voice my hearty support to get you the help you need so you can get out there and do what you're trained to do, which is to run an excellent water service.
Yeah. Jot down.
Yes, don't misunderstand me asking questions. I just had to get it straight in my head.
It's a little confusing.
Well, and I will say that Sheila does make herself available to the town on, I think on a very conscious basis, so that there's always a voice of the DPW, which I appreciate.
Okay, now where's this piece of paper?
This is too much.
No. Wait,
Oh,
That's capital, that's the
you have to go back a page or,
We're gonna go with sewer budget next.
Yeah.
no, that's fine. I don't think I have it.
yeah, it might be very.
Get it? Okay.
No, that's,
There's to the back, it's the last one.
It's on the-
I got this door, why can't I?
no, I have the short one. I just didn't have what was being shown there. That was the capital. Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, sewer. Onward and upward.
We have no salaries in sewer budget currently.
We don't?
Nope.
How come?
When we laid off the office manager, we were paying her out of that,
The 30%
Salary.
when they got it first.
yeah, the 11% of her salary came from the sewer budget.
Okay. Oh,
When we reduced the force, we didn't have any more salary. Electric's pretty steady.
Why did you go up in electric here? I can't remember. You marked, I think I asked and you told me.
We went up.
On water,
Electric went up 9%.
That was consistent with the,
yeah, I know that, I know exactly, but I'm just trying to figure out in my head, and I'm maybe confusing things. So the electric, it just stayed steady. There was no increase that, we didn't take the 9% on the sewer.
Right.
They looked, if I could, to be consistent with the previous budget, they looked at the prior year's actual.
So they did the actual base on the actuals and they held it steady.
And I think what you're looking at, and I can clearly see what the question you're asking, Kathleen, you're looking at these two columns right here at the end.
Exactly.
And they're level funded, because those are in excess of 9% of the actual, so they
Okay.
held it steady.
Okay, thank you.
Then we have the Marshfield sewer, that's a real difficult one. Because they meter all the sewer on Gurnett Road. And so if we have any sort of leak or the ocean gets into the manholes at all, we could get a much higher bill.
if it floods,
Yep,
then our sewer bill goes up,
yep.
which is unfortunate.
So it doesn't go off of what the water meters record.
Is there any way to make that more accurate or no?
I believe it's fairly accurate. They installed a newer meter up there.
Oh, is it better? I mean, when the road floods and we get a bigger sewer bill, that's
Well, I haven't noticed any big swings.
okay.
It
Oh,
felt pretty steady.
Most of the manholes in the flooded areas are sealed.
Oh, good. Oh,
Like
okay,
that.
great.
It's not to say something couldn't happen.
do you have access to the meter readings there, so you can see if the flow increases?
Yep, the meter is mounted right on the pole. Building grounds maintenance pretty steady. Equipment repairs that will vary from year to year. All our sewer systems are aging. It's time where you get a lot more maintenance and repairs than when it was first built. Waste removal, there's no way to naturally get rid of the waste there, so we have to have a hauling company come in and pump it out. That increases all the time, every year. Engineering services, that's kind of the same thing as water. Sometimes we come across problems or work that needs to be done, and we have to consult with an engineer. Or
Same question as before, would the the person on staff be able to mitigate that?
they should be able to, if there was a field bad experience.
Yeah, depending on what it is, some of that still could.
It's pretty technical.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends what their specialty is, and I think I mentioned, I am looking for someone with drainage experience, because my background's water and sewer, but it could free me up to help on that end.
Yeah,
So I'm not necessarily seeking somebody with water and sewer engineering expertise.
Okay,
But some of it is generally, can certainly assist.
okay, thank
Excuse
you.
me. I don't know whether I may have been taking notes and missed it, but up at the top, the sewer department of water shows a significant reduction. I don't know whether is that hearing historical levels or was the 926 over budgeted and you're just bringing it back down?
So back in the day, they used to fill the backwash tanks right for the hose. And it's 1,000 gallon tank, so they would use quite a bit of water and they would also spray down the top of in the tanks. And we've got the water a lot cleaner now, so we've been able to reuse the effluent for the backwashes. So it's a significant savings in the water.
Okay, thank you.
The testing that increases all the time and the DEP is constantly adding different tests that we have to start checking.
Is this that's regulatory though, right, Mark?
Yeah.
So basically, the budget here went down almost 6%. Because you're lost the ability to the sewer department, the admin.
Mhm.
Are you thinking that is that gonna get reinstated or no?
No.
Okay,
No, and actually last year, if there hadn't been that RIF, we were going to move that money for that office manager into the DPW admin budget. That salary money.
so did you do that?
Well, the position was RIFed, but in the other budget, that's what we were planning.
Or was the position ripped to the person moved to another
The
department?
office manager position was.
Well, yes, oh,
Yes.
okay, oh, so this 11% was the office manager,
Mhm.
okay, sorry,
Yeah.
got it.
Question,
Yes, please,
the school septic system, is that in this at all?
Yes.
So
All five systems are included here.
Okay, so the cost of running the school is in this.
Mhm.
Does the school pay us anything? Back? Okay. And then
that's
second,
a shared cost pile.
yeah, so, and then the second question is, on our organizational chart for the DPW. You have the chief water treatment operator vacancy.
Yeah.
In yellow.
Yep.
But I don't see any mention of it on your budget.
Well, it's an open position right now. An existing person is acting in that position. So it's just a vacant position. The intention is to fill it.
We need to fill
So, yeah.
But if you fill it,
But it's funded, it's in the budget, it's already funded,
okay, thank you.
it's
Do you
not in the.
foresee any revenue coming from, other sources for, the, particularly around the, PFAS, problems? Are we do you foresee getting anything from the state or federal government?
There's a small amount coming from a lawsuit.
We joined a class action lawsuit
Yeah,
and so far we've received $600,000.
yeah, but I mean,
But
Not even
it's-
close.
Against the $40 million bill.
it's a drop in the bucket.
yeah, right.
Uh,
So
Oh, is it?
are all the other towns here just dealing with it themselves, same way?
But they're not all dealing with PFAS issues around.
My wish for the future is that it becomes like the tobacco. thing.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
PFAS becomes tobacco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monsanto will be standing in line for, I think, a
It'll take a while, but that's how this is gonna get resolved.
Mhm.
Just like PCBs did in the 70s and 80s.
To answer your question a little bit more fully, Chuck, though, there are a number of communities who have borne the cost of treatment for PFAS in their own communities. It's very expensive, as we all know, and they've had to do it before us because they were testing at much higher contaminant levels. And it was, there were in some cases, it was significant enough that they had to move fast. There were communities that were distributing bottled water to their residents for a
Right.
period of time. The state has available a funding mechanism for PFAS projects that offer 0% financing. It won't cover the likelihood that it will cover the full cost of the project is remote. but it will cover portion of the project. So say, for example, this community moved forward with a $40 million treatment option for PFAS for, one of our wells. Some of that would be available to be financed through a 0% loan, which is great, but still a $40 million nut is a big amount. And then the rest of it would need to be conventionally financed at current interest rates. But in order for that to happen, we need to get onto the state's intended use plan, and we need to get approved for the project costs. And then they have a limited amount of money. So the money that is in play is federal dollars, and it's administered as state grants through the Clean Water Trust. And so because it typically doesn't cover the total project cost, because they want to share that among the communities who are applying for remediation.
Who's in this class action suit with us? Is it just other communities in Massachusetts, or is it across the nation?
I'm not even
All
sure.
over
I
the
think it's
nation.
probably nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have a list of them.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I just wondered if it was, just, Plymouth County, or if it was a whole.
Yeah, no, it's much more
The
broad
whole
than that.
country, yeah.
We did apply for SRF consideration for the Depot Fremont water treatment facility.
Mhm.
That we're looking to design last year, and we did not make the short list.
Right.
And our suspicions are because our PFAS levels aren't high enough. to
Right,
trigger
there are
that.
others that are in greater need.
Well, we're
Yes.
not even above accepted levels.
We are at Depot, but Depot's off. But
Right.
again, we're not at the levels that other communities are seeing, so there's,
Right.
Which is why they're first in line to
Sure,
get that.
absolutely.
Low interest loan,
Absolutely.
no interest loan.
so the other thing is, regarding the PFAS. We build the additional treatment facilities, that means additional staff. And it's very difficult to find operational staff. We've had very little outside interest in our vacant position. There's
Because
not many
Losing them to private.
licensed water operators out there. What is the average age, they would say fifties?
Yeah, mid-50s. It's a shrinking pool.
And did you mention that you were losing them to, the private sector?
No, he went to another town.
Okay, he went to another town.
Yeah.
Virginia.
Mark, as we move through this budget process, at some point, you're gonna be asked if the people that are using the 4 shared septic systems are paying their fare. Are they paying their share? And how will you answer that?
We are starting to track the cost, but we don't break up the costs because we kind of share all the staff and all the tools and equipment. So it's not broken out to each individual system.
I mean, the 4 system,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not broken.
Well, even,
Anybody on-
well, it's really the 5 systems.
Well, at the school, we've already said that we're not getting paid for that,
Mhm.
so. I was just commenting about the citizens of Duxbury that are utilizing the 4 other septic systems,
Mhm.
not sewer, but septic systems. And whether they
We
are,
get billed.
oh, yeah,
But it's just billed for the usage of the water, not maintenance.
That's how they measure.
Right,
well,
right, right.
so
But the other part of that too, JR, is that the operation, it can vary from year to year, right? So we will, in order to try to answer your question more fully. Sometimes it's hard to calculate that because in some years, there can be equipment failures. And so 2 years ago, when Mark first joined here, he was facing massive equipment failures with some of these sewer systems. And we were incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of costs. Not only to pump and haul the sewage out of there while we were waiting for the repair to be done, but then the repair. So, there are anomaly years where we experience that, and then there are years where it's just smooth operations. But we need to have the staff available, we need to have the vehicles available, the equipment available, the trained personnel available, at moment's notice to be ready to service those when the need arises. So you have to kind of look at it sort of over a period of time and factor in.
I'm happy, I just
Yeah.
know that we're gonna hear this again.
Right,
But remember too, that the rates, so we knew, part of why we took a look at the rates is we knew that the rates in this community had not been looked at or adjusted in almost 15 years.
Right.
Right? So, and over time, the cost of operating those things and the staff needed and the tools needed has grown. And those folks who are receiving that service were not being, charged at an increasing rate, right? So it was, so part of it is we're catching up, and we're trying to adjust rates in order to make sure that we are covering expenses. But because this is also commingled with the town's sewer treatment plant, it's difficult to distinguish or track those individual efforts.
and
Thank
look,
you.
the data has to be collected by staff. I mean, this is another example of, if we're short-staffed.
Yeah.
How do we justify increasing the rates with data that hasn't been perhaps worked through, not because of lack of wanting to, but just lack of bodies to do it?
Yep.
Couldn't help myself. Okay.
Now, the next page, we have the sewer revenues, and it's the same thing as the water. We increased the rates, and we're seeing a dump from 100,000 to 130,000 over the same 6-month period from 25, 26.
Oh, you included your capital as well.
Yep.
Next, go.
So is your capital request, because you're an enterprise, you pay for your capital? Or does it go through a capital request like Article 6? I can't remember.
It goes through articles. The answer to both of your questions is yes.
Yes.
So, yes, it goes through Article 6, but the funding source is
The water
the
department,
water
right?
department.
Okay, that's what I thought.
correct. You want to talk about these? Pleasure.
Thank you.
God bless.
My first request is the water backhoe. We need this as a backup piece of equipment. When we have water main breaks, we have a mini excavator that we purchased several years ago, and that is on site. And we have a backhoe that's back in our office, and we use that for loading road plates, filling the dump truck with sand as needed, anything that we need. And then it's also a backup if the mini's down or we don't have an operator for the mini. There's 2 different licenses for the mini and for the backup. And it also serves as snow plow removal.
Can we sell the one we've got,
Um,
or is it beyond its useful life?
It still runs pretty good. It's very rusted. It's hard to repair, but everything underneath is rusted out. But Norm would like to utilize that machine at the transfer station. It just kind of sits there and crushes down the trash. And then that way he would have more access to his backup.
Okay,
So it didn't have to roll around.
So we'd like to move that over to the transfer station.
okay.
Requesting 1.6 million, and that's the remaining amount that we need for the design services. The design services is estimated at 2.93 million. And we already have 1.338 million. So the difference will be that 1.6 million to finish the full design of the Tremont Depot combined treatment
Just the
plant.
design, this has nothing to do with fixing it.
Right.
So we have the RFQ out on the street right now for the design engineer.
Okay.
So by the time we go to town meeting, we should know exactly how much that delta is, how much we need.
Lakeshore well, the roof is needs replacement. That's estimates by $55,000. Water main replacement, there's a lot of water mains listed in the master plan. We have St. George Street, Paul's Corner, Depot Surplus, they all need new water mains. A lot of them are 1940s vintage, so they're due to get replaced. And Paul's Corner is also a very critical point. That's where all the water mains meet to fill the water tank. So if we lost that piece of water main from 1940, we wouldn't be able to use the Captain's Hill tank.
Ooh, that would be bad.
Yes, that wouldn't be good.
Why the roof is 55,000? Is it that big of a building?
No, it's pretty small, but, Katie got a estimate for it.
Oh, I know exactly what.
Municipal
Yep, I got it.
prevailing wage.
Yep, got it. Well, that kills her every time. Yep.
So I'm
Thank you.
requesting 2 million for the water main replacement, but, I don't think we're gonna have the funding for that, so. We're looking at 400,000. I do have 750,000 from the previous year.
Well,
Well, would you even be able to spend the 2 million? I mean, do you have the staff in place to replace $2 million worth of water mains?
Oh, no, that has to be contracted out.
So somebody else does it?
Yeah, internal staff can't do, a large water main.
Didn't do their
project.
job.
Maybe something very
We don't
small,
have the equipment either.
yeah.
Yeah, so
You cut them.
If we had a town engineer, that engineer could do the inspection and save us
I've heard that a couple
quite a bit of
times.
money.
Uh,
So,
Who is recommending, you have requested, then you have recommended, is this town manager recommended, or is it the fiscal advisory?
This is me and Mark working together because
Oh.
it's based on funding limitations. So Mark is limited to his certified retained earnings to be available for his capital,
Okay,
just like the general fund is subject to the limitations of free cash.
so he requested and he also recommended something different, is it?
No, I put that in there
Okay,
after sitting with Mark
Okay.
because although the retained earnings has not been certified by the state yet, I estimate that it's gonna come in somewhere around 2.6 million.
okay,
And Mark's asking for $3.8 million worth of capital, so clearly he cannot
Got
afford
it.
all that.
okay. Thanks.
So if you're a recommended of 400,000, so it's more of a phased approach. You're kind of looking at, what's the worst and then
Yeah.
you prioritize what needs to be done and you slot them in.
Yeah, but right now, I'm working on water main plans, so we can pull these right off the shelf as we get the funding. Or we'll be ready to put the projects out.
So since we've had pipes popping like popcorn all over town. And you're only gonna do 400,000 of what you think $2 million worth of work that should be done. And this is a higher priority than the PFAS or a lower priority than the PFAS
But we do have a deadline
design.
on the PFAS that we have to meet, it's 2031.
well, we also anticipate we're gonna lose Lakeshore Well. So bringing back the supply from Depot is very important. So that PFAS project achieves that.
Will the well from Depot be able to pump all the way out to Lakeshore?
No, it'll go into this system. We're able to manipulate a lot of the water.
Okay,
So, typically we take water from the high zone where Lakeshore is, and it goes through PRV valves into the low zone. Whereas the coastal shores is where most of the water usage is. So Depot's already in the coastal zone. So we just won't use the PRVs to transfer the water as much.
so that will retain usage for Lakeshore.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it. No perfect solution. I got it.
Oh, so you went all the way out to 2031.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
He plans
You know
ahead.
what we're supposed to do, a 5-year?
I like it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Pretty nifty.
And then you can see if we move forward with the treatment plant for Depot Tremont, the estimate is $43 million.
What do you think about the fact that the treatment, do you feel fully defined at this point?
Yeah, it's pretty standard, the treatment, they use activated carbon. That's what we're seeing at all the treatment plants these days.
Which is a tried and true treatment technology. And
For PFAS, it's just PFAS is just, I mean,
maybe something will come out, but carbon is utilized for a lot of water treatment. not just
It
PFAS.
removes a lot more than just PFAS either. Okay.
so it will handle the manganese or whatever. it
Not
is.
manganese and iron, but anything that's dissolved in the water, they typically use activated carbon. All your home filters will have activated carbon in them.
Okay.
That's why the Britas work well for the PFAS. So,
What works well?
Brita
For the
Yeah.
filters,
filters.
Oh.
Brita filters.
but we have to treat the PFAS at the source, so.
So the 43,200,000 for 2028. Where would that come from? Question mark, question mark?
Yeah.
There, it's coming from water enterprise revenues and retail earnings. That's why we adjusted the rates, is to start to prepare for that.
So. We are going to have $42,200,000.
No, there's not.
We are going to just.
Okay, well, yeah. Yeah, question.
We're going to finance that, so we'll take out a loan. And we would pay a portion of that annually over 30 to 40 years. Or the debt service would be, somewhere in the ballpark of $1.5 to $2 million annually.
So would you be doing debt service on the 46 million or just on the PFAS?
Oh, I don't even know if the other remaining issues. I can't answer that right now.
Okay,
That's too far
that's,
out.
and that's fair, that's fair. I just didn't know if the 1.5 million for water main replacement that seems to be recommended over the next few years is something that we were going to be bonding, or whether it was something that we were gonna be buying.
It depends. So Mark and I were talking about that this afternoon. It really depends on what we see for revenue generation from the water and sewer bills that you guys were just talking about, right? So we showed you that we've seen an increase, so the change is working, but we also know that there's gonna be a point in time where people start to reduce their consumption based on those rates. And so
The wells.
exactly, we're gonna start to erode some of our customer base.
Right.
And so we need to keep a close eye on those revenues. So that's in large part why I can't predict the future just
Sure.
yet. So we'll take another look at that, 6 months from now, when we have a full year's worth of quarterly bills under our belt, and we can see what's happening.
So, yeah, go ahead.
The water main replacement dropped Hall's Corner came into 2028. Is where you think it has slotted in, the 1.5 million.
And all these trucks that you've got out here for 10 years old, do they usually last around 10 years? I mean, I know there's not high mileage on them, but.
The mileage does get up there, but the rust also gets pretty bad also.
Yeah,
So we're now undercoating all of our new trucks to try to.
Yep.
Prevent the rust. So we're hoping that helps, and obviously having them parked inside in the new DPW facility.
well, I'm just seeing that we're not looking to replace any of these trucks next year, or it goes out into the year after and the year after that, and they're 10 years old, so what are we thinking?
Like Sheila said, we're trying to maintain them better, but they are plow trucks, and it does take a heavy
So we're being hopeful?
yeah,
Okay,
but there's a lot of wear and tear on the motor and the transmission, and maintenance costs are starting to increase.
And all these trucks will not be underneath a roof in July. That will help.
Well, and it's gonna be a car wash, so that'll also
Even
help with
more
removing a lot of the salt and sand.
All the pre-existing trucks, the damage is done.
done, yeah. Any questions?
Nope, that's good, good.
We've tortured you enough. Duxbury sewer capital request here. We got, this is just the,
Michelle, did you cover everything else? Was there anything else you had?
Well, I didn't cover all of our capital requests.
No, that's for fiscal advisory.
Yeah, no, that
well,
was.
I mean, but the high points on the capital, we might as well hear from her as opposed to hearing from Alex, no? Or you wanna, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did the big one with the fuel depot, just as a continuation of that. We have been in discussions with our design consultant. And they've been reaching out to Mass DEP and New Hampshire DEP about the concept of lining.
Oh, good.
And it's not recommended to line the underground tanks, and the belief is you could get potentially 10 years if you do line, but it's not recommended. We're looking to address the entire fuel depot, new pumps, the canopy, spill pad. So does it make sense to Band-Aid the tank or attempt to Band-Aid the tank?
or to put in new tanks and get the 30 years.
So we discussed about bringing them above ground.
Yeah, so we're still talking about that. The initial feedback we've received so far is you need clearance. So that could be an issue at the fire station site.
And we can't put it at the DPW, use the behind town
Well,
hall.
that would be a lot more than $875,000.
Okay,
Start
It'll be a new bill.
completely from scratch, and I don't know where it would go.
You're on top
If you-
of the McNeil dump
Yeah.
above ground.
And then if there's a problem, no,
Yeah.
it can't. But, yeah, I mean, if you walk behind the DPW, see the DPW facility, there's a nice view if you take that trail and cemetery there. I mean, it looks massive, but you can see there's a lot going on there and the site is congested. So I can't envision where you could possibly put, gas pumps there.
okay.
When there's already an established fuel
You can tell
depot.
Bob.
So it would be, to your point, a new build, which right, would be
I'm not
an
gonna do
expensive proposition.
that. So in your capital request for the Duxbury Sewer Department, you have sewer maintenance.
Yes,
How are we gonna put maintenance in the capital request? It's not a capital item, it's maintenance.
So is your intent for that lining, another I and I work? Sewer and general sewer maintenance,
and what?
Physical.
lining sewer,
Yeah, so
So JR, to your,
That's what that's what.
it says maintenance.
lining the sewage. That would-
Wait a minute, Barry
No.
had an answer here.
Just gen-
Barry?
General maintenance.
so
Oh,
as we've talked about over the last couple of years, Mark has faced a number of unexpected issues with the sewer system and failures. And so they have put together a plan to do some specific remediation, I camera snaking or whatever you call it, to check out the lines. What that item is that you're talking about is more of a placeholder to have funding available in order to start to tackle some of these repairs and upgrades. But he needs to be nimble because obviously we're talking about sewerage here, right? So we can't wait for town meeting in order to get funding to fix something. So the idea behind that particular item that you just referenced is more of a placeholder to have funding made available for Mark to utilize for improvements or emergency repairs.
I would just relabel it, that's all.
yeah,
Yeah.
the town and travel now.
Sure,
Upgrades,
good suggestion.
Yes,
repair,
it's an upgrade,
repair.
Right.
not repair. Upgrade.
Okay, sure.
Stop that.
Sounds very good.
You know, I know you hate to leave us.
We hate to see you go.
You can say it is in the other way.
Like having.
Aw.
Good job, thank you.
very
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much. Mary, did you want to do something here?
I do, I'm trying to find my copy of the agenda. Where did I leave it? Appreciate it. So listed on our agenda for tonight was some departmental budgets that were previously scheduled for a couple of weeks ago, but one of your meetings was canceled due to lack of quorum. So we attempted to reschedule them tonight. I'm going to cover some of them tonight, but my week has gone sideways and I have not been able to get all of the information that I wanted. So tonight, what we're gonna cover is. Thank you. Tonight, what I'll go over is the historical commission, retirement of debt. And we can talk about celebrations and we're gonna hold off on life insurance, Medicare and employee benefits or health insurance for the December 2nd meeting. Next week on Tuesday, you are scheduled to meet with the school department and I didn't want to distract from that conversation with other miscellaneous budgets. So I figured we'll give you the full time and attention for the school department conversation. So I talked with Betsy earlier today to try to reschedule those 3 remaining items for December 2nd. Okay, so tonight I am, I did give you 2 handouts. They look like this.
Yeah.
One says retirement of debt, the other says veteran services. what happened with Veteran Services is that was on the agenda for a meeting a couple of weeks ago, but we actually just missed it. We didn't cover it, so
Okay.
I want to make sure that we do talk about it more. So if we want to start with that one,
Sure.
great. All right. So what you have on the first page is. Okay, so on this first page, you've got a couple of sheets of supporting documentation here. And actually, I should probably call it up for anybody who's following along at home. Bear with me for 1 second. To the website, because I put these as links on the website earlier today. Okay, so for the folks who are following along at home. There it is right there. Yes, sir.
Might be helpful to explain.
Yep.
Initially, how we're gonna go about actually having a benefit, veterans benefit environment.
So, every community in the Commonwealth is required to provide veteran services to, their veterans who reside in their community. And you can go about doing that in a couple of different ways. You can either hire and employ your own, veteran service agent, or you can become part of a district. So up until, recently, the town of Duxbury had employed their own dedicated, veteran service agent here exclusively for the town of Duxbury. And what ended up happening is, we had some transition, so I believe a gentleman named Mike Thorpe had held the post for quite some time. And then Mike retired and we replaced that position with another person. That person had left our employ and we had a vacancy here, which is obviously not something that we want to see happen. Because this veteran service agent is the conduit or the liaison to our veterans for a wide variety of services. I am not a VSO, and because our VSO is no longer here in the town of Duxbury, I am presenting this tonight, and I apologize in advance if I do any kind of disservice by not explaining fully, but I will do my best. So what happened is we lost our veteran service agent. She left the town of Duxbury and went to go work for the town of Kingston. We posted the position and we had difficulty filling that position. And so we had subsequent conversations with Sarah, who went to Kingston, as well as with the administration over in the town of Kingston. And we joined forces to develop a district and have Sarah service both the town of Kingston and the town of Duxbury so that we are meeting the needs of this program for our veterans here in the community. So we successfully executed an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Kingston to share veteran service officer, as well as a part-time administrative assistant. So what you will see is that the cost of this department is $168,384 to fund the Veterans Benefits Department in our budget. We do receive reimbursement from the state, 75% reimbursement for eligible expenses, but we need to appropriate that funding upfront. That we receive 75% for the eligible medical benefits that we pay our veterans, as well as for things like the flags that are used for Veterans Day or Memorial Day. So there is a revenue offset to this department that comes into the general fund. In partnering with the town of Kingston, this first schedule that you're looking at shows the budget that was established for this now regional district. And you can see the Duxbury share and the Kingston share for FY, we calculated it for FY 26, shown here in those middle columns. And then off to the right is the FY 27 estimate, which is including a 2.5% projected increase. The biggest line or the biggest expense in this budget is down at the bottom. It's called Veterans Benefits and it's $90,000. So I'm going to ask you to turn to in your handout to this page here. Looks like that with the chart on it. And what that is chapter 115 benefits. So when veterans apply for medical assistance, so assistance with prescriptions or co-pays or other medical benefits that they are eligible for, The town of Duxbury pays that veteran for those benefits, and then we submit those benefits to the state to be reimbursed 75%. So we need to have the funding available, and then we receive it on the back end. This chart here shows you historically what's been happening. And you can see that there is a general decline. So as veterans, as we unfortunately, you know, yes, as we lose our veterans and those eligible participants in the program, the need to fund that at a lower level becomes more readily apparent. In addition to that, one of the things that Sarah focuses on is that the VA and the federal benefits that are available to the veterans are much more robust than the state. And so she has spent a good deal of time working very closely with our veterans to steer them to the most beneficial programs that they are eligible for. So I expect that we will naturally continue to see a decline in this particular line item as we transition them to more robust programs and products available.
Just a quick thing on the surplus, Mary. Does that carry over or is that
No.
expired if it's? at the end of this year?
It expires just like every other department budget.
I just had a question on the 50-50, it's a 50-50 split.
It is a 50-50
And
split.
based on the number of veterans or just the cost and your agreement with Kingston?
Okay, so if you flip to the last page, here we go. You will see that we agreed to a 50-50 split. When you look at our population, Kingston we are a bigger town population wise. Kingston actually has more veterans than we do that are being serviced. So on the whole, we agreed to a 50-50 split. And then you'll see at the bottom of that page, the hours of operation where we expect to have on-site presence here in this building to serve our residents, our veterans, face to face. So their time between the VSO and the administrative assistant, their time will be split as shown.
But they'll be physically there.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Just as a veteran, I just want to make this comment. I think that for you and Rainey and whoever came up with this sharing notion, I think it's very creative and has tremendous financial benefits to both towns. So kudos to you for proposing that, and it's great.
We will actually give credit where credit is due, which is when Sarah left. Sarah was sad to leave Duxbury, but she went to a much more higher paying position in Kingston. And it was her idea to actually, yep, but it fit the need for both communities. And we will both benefit, and you know, she's great. And it also, by retaining Sarah, she already has established relationships with the folks in our community. And she does a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real loss. Ashley,
You maybe said this, but it's a 50 split of just certain line items or all?
Yes, of the salary line items. So if you look at the expenses, we do some things different that Kingston doesn't do. For example, we host the breakfast that was the Veterans Day breakfast. Kingston doesn't do that. Kingston does a specific parade. We don't do that. So there's different expenses that are budgeted by the individual communities.
Got it. Okay, yeah, it was just most evident on the benefits that you just spoke to. So just salaries.
So I hope I did that justice.
I think you did a great job. And we're delighted that Sarah's back.
Right, exactly. All right. So now if there's no more questions, can we flip over to the other packet?
Sure.
Okay, and so this is our retirement of debt portion of the budget, and I've repurposed. I'm recycling a couple of slides that we used from the meeting that we had with the select board. So for FY 27, our general fund debt service is 8.4 million. If you can see on that chart there, we go from 6.663 million up to 8.4, and that is directly attributable to the debt service for the seawall as well as for the DPW facility, which we'll see on subsequent pages. 93% of our debt is exempt. excluded from the levy limitations and 6.8 is within the levy. We flip to the next page. You can see that pictorially. Oh, you know what, hang on, let me call that up. Now on this page here. So you can see that the debt service goes from 6.6 up to 8.40. Oh, you know what I did? I'm sorry. I'm calling it up on my screen, but I'm not sharing. The screen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did that work? There we go.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, so I started here. I apologize to whoever's following along. So we can see, the green shaded areas of this bar graph represent the exempt debt, which means that voters have gone to the ballot box to support certain projects. So that the debt service is exempted from Prop 2.5 limitations. That debt service will go away when the project is completed, and that exclusion will then be extinguished. So and then here's just another graphical representation of what's happening with our debt. So here we see this spike here because we do have two very large scale projects that have been approved. We're starting to debt finance those beginning in earnest in FY27. And then way out here right now, given what we have on our debt model, we are expecting to see a large drop off in 2038 when we complete the payment of the school complex. And should we approve or undertake any additional projects between now and then, that would obviously radically change this particular debt model. What I'll try to anticipate a question, you will not see on this debt model the debt service for water, for the PFAS that we just talked about, because that is covered by the enterprise fund, and these charts are just strictly related to debt service paid under the general fund. So on this page here, in your handout is the list of the individual pieces of debt. So this is our principal and our interest, as well as our debt issuance costs. In FY26, our debt was 6.6 million, and in FY27, it is 8.4 for the general fund. So this first page, I'm sorry, I'll kind of hold this up here. This first page here shows the principal portion. The section below it shows the interest. We have extinguished our short-term debt and have permanently financed. We will be permanently financing all of our bands in FY27. And then the total of that, it rolled over to the next page. So that top line there that I'm referencing. What I'm showing you below this, however, is we also have debt, as we just spoke about, with water enterprise. So there's the water enterprise debt, but we are also still carrying debt for community preservation. So the town's overall debt profile for FY27 is 9.69 million. That's the annual debt service payment for all of the projects that have been approved in the community. That makes sense?
Over here.
And then on the last page here, I've given you a, let's scroll to it. This right here is an excerpt from our debt model. You can't read it on the screen, which is why I gave it to you in the handout. Showing you, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years worth of debt. Starting from FY25, looking out all the way to FY 2031. Sometimes folks like to follow along to see when we're going to have debt roll off of our schedule. So if I make this a little bit bigger, I'll explain what I mean by that. If we look at the first line on that debt model, it's for the construction of the crematory. And we can see that we are making debt service payments for the crematory construction from FY25 through FY28. The last payment will be made in FY28, and therefore it drops off in those future years. The ones in yellow on that chart that you're looking at, yellow means that it's debt excluded. So when it drops off, it just drops off. It does not create any capacity in our budget. It does not create any levy capacity because they're excluded. However, the ones that are listed below in the, I believe it's, the dark blue color here, not the light blue. like on this model, yellow means exempt. Light blue is all the water debt for the color of water. Dark blue is all of the debt that's in the levy. So when we start to see items that are funded in the levy start to drop off, that's a good thing because it's opening up capacity in the levy for us to be able to finance additional investments in the community.
Which is,
Okay,
so this goes out to 31, that doesn't mean that it drops off in 31.
absolutely not. This model right now is out, it's right now, it's built out to 2042. And it's gonna be extended beyond that, once we start to look at things like PFAS. Okay, so there is a significant increase in our debt profile from FY 26 to FY 27. And that is based on the voter approved projects that we talked about. Are there any specific questions on that?
Where is that at the bottom? I lost you, Mary, on my chart.
Keep going.
Oh, we went through all of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2031, we're basically, between now and then, we're gonna open up about $50,000 worth of.
Generally speaking, yes,
It's not a lot,
correct.
No, the big jump will be 10 years from now
right, yeah.
when the schools are
School
paid
debt.
off, and then they'll be huge. Yep, Al?
Yeah, just a general question, Betsy. Have we had, we probably have, and I'm just not aware of it, had sort of global strategic discussions on exempt debt vis-a-vis our capacity to handle that?
Well, I think it's kind of funny that we all say we haven't had an override in 30 years, because not so much true. What we have done is an override by another name, which is the exempt debt, right? And it's just that it's not permanent, it's for the life of that particular loan. So that is how we have managed to do what we have done without having an override to the levy. One of the other things in our guidelines is I think we're woefully underfunded in our tax and our regular budget for carrying debt. We should have rotating debt so that things drop off, you can do something else, and you can kind of maintain a more even plane as far as what the impact to the taxpayer would be if you manage it within that circumstance. So, no, I mean, we've talked about what we would like to see as far as in the guidelines for part of the amount of percentage that should be dedicated to debt, so that we can have a predictable amount and protect it. Because if it falls off, if the debt's paid off and it gets absorbed into operating, it's never coming back. It's lost. So it's, I think that as the conversation comes up when we do more exempt debt, but if there is an appetite to do these projects, that's how we've managed to do it. And it does, which does nothing to help us support taking care of what we have built.
I just see this, and perhaps this is inappropriate at this time, but it's, to me, it's a strategic planning type of
Yep,
issue.
So if I
Mary?
could add to that, so I'm looking at your policy right now,
Mhm.
and in your policy, there is a notation about excluded debt. And it says excluded debt service costs should be less than 12% of the tax levy at all times. So it was contemplated.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to do that calculation.
Right, but we're kissing it.
Thanks for looking that up, Mary, I appreciate it.
You bet.
Because it's good to kind of frame it, because I don't think we have infinite capacity for all things, and it's good to know that we've got some kind of guardrails on this.
Mhm.
Guardrails that we're scraping on.
Yeah. But there are guardrails, so.
Yes, but that is the
From
good
time to
news.
time, it's just good to bring it up and discuss it.
Yeah,
Just to refresh ourselves.
absolutely, I agree. So, is that, we're Brandy, would you could,
I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry.
you got one more?
So historical commission,
Oh, okay.
Historical Commission budget is $1,000. It has been $1,000 since everybody can remember. And I did talk with Ed Mayo, the chair of the Historical Commission, and he is requesting to continue that $1,000 budget. They use it for supplies and materials. They host some events, they send out some invitations, they, do a number of things during the year. He did want me to convey to you guys that one of the things that they've been focusing on and working on is digitizing a lot of their historical records and photographs. And they've, I witnessed that they had a intern in over the summer working in town hall, assisting with that digitization, and they've made really significant progress. So Ed and his group are very, very proud of the efforts that they've been making and with respect to that. And he asks if you guys would continue to support the $1,000 in the budget for the expenses of the Historical Commission.
Okay,
Okay.
So noted.
so noted. Rainey, are you gonna do celebrations?
If you are, you're on mute.
You're muted if you're talking to me. Oh, there he is.
Hi there, how are you? You'll have to forgive me, I don't have the number in front of me.
The $25,000. So the question, this is for the 4th of July parade.
This is
Yeah.
the parade.
Yes, it is. Yep. Yep. It used to be a standalone article for a long, long time. And we believe that it's better suited in the budget to make sure that it happens. It's important to a lot of people. And we just want to make sure that it gets funded. It's the same amount that we've had previously. This year was a bit tricky getting it funded ultimately, but we managed to do it and get it done.
Well, we funded it in June. It's for next summer.
That's correct.
So this would be for the summer after that.
That's correct.
Okay. And they did pay for their details, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
So we were able to work with the Partridge Fund and that committee to lessen the impact to the public safety budgets.
That's correct.
That's not included in the celebration budget, Randy, if that's not traditionally, well, this is a new approach, right? To have it get it out of an article and put it into a operating budget, right?
That's correct, Kathleen. Yep.
So did we have the police details in the article or no?
No.
No,
No.
they were always funded outside of it.
Outside of it.
As part of each department's budget. You with me? So like they would just hit their overtime line for police or fire.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
And by celebrations, that just covers the parade and the bonfire, yeah?
Yes,
By calling it celebrations, it is broad enough that you could drive a truck through it.
Mhm.
yep.
Great.
Which is very common in municipalities, because some of them, have different types of events that they.
Based on the nature of the town.
Exactly.
Right.
Right, but this doesn't cover Memorial Day or Veterans Day or any of the other things that we do.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The only other thing that we have now is, because we're gonna defer benefits and Medicare. And I don't think we have any reserve fund.
No, we do not.
We had made it a revised, on our agenda. So a question had come up about whether we'd reorganized at the beginning of this year. And we have reorganized every year for as long as I can remember. But I think this year, because we were getting two members left, we were getting two new members, we were going to reorganize once those two members had been sworn in. And somehow, and I'll own this all day, we did not get it back on the agenda. And because of everything that we've been doing as far as the override and the budgets, it slipped through the cracks. So
I move Betsy Sullivan serve as chairman.
Second.
thank Thank you. Were you afraid I was gonna nominate you?
That's why you spoke so quickly.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained.
I
Okay,
nominate Fred Weiler as the vice chair.
Right,
In
second.
charge of vice.
That's right.
Charge of life,
I think you
second,
did a Good
second.
job with it.
Okay.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I think that, I mean, obviously someone realized that we hadn't done this and there was some conversation regarding that. But there was a very good point made during that conversation about succession planning and making sure that, the newer members are included in how this works and, eventually we're gonna, retire or approach one or the other. And, we don't want to
Retired first.
retire, that would be good.
Right.
Would want to make sure that the committee still has people that are involved that are familiar with the process. So, I mean, that's something we should consider toward after
I
town
will
meeting.
say publicly right now that if we get to the point where we have too many people. And we have an excess of people applying for this,
Yeah, well, then nobody applies for it.
then I would stand down.
Oh, no. But
I've already said it.
It's hardly a plethora of candidates.
we do get on talent bank forms, people that are expressing interest, and when we talk to them about the commitment and we don't sugarcoat it, I mean, I think that, Chuck and Ashley, we told you what was involved. Most people then say, oh, I'd rather do, and, fill in the blank. So it's hard to get someone to commit to it, but, we certainly, and the moderator is the one that appoints, not us. And I don't think that he's been buried with requests for it to serve on this committee, so. But we're fully staffed now, which is great, and we've got a great team, and I'm thrilled about that, but it is something. I think that point was valid, and it's something that we should consider as we go on to make sure that everybody is in the loop, and that if someone retires or leaves, that there is someone to fill their shoes comfortably, so.
Yeah, I should basically see my role as vice chair is just backing up Betsy and her, but she's not here, and talking her off the ceiling sometimes before a meeting. So something seems to be bothering her more than usual. I would, however, like the rest of the committee to think about next year. We'll reorganize, say, after the new year starts, July 1. And I don't intend to become chair as the vice chair, if anything. I mean, I've served my time. I'm glad to do this. I enjoy doing it. But I'd like someone else to think in terms of working their way up. Sort of the traditional way, be vice chair for a while, and then being the next chair. We have to have someone in line to do that. So I
Right.
hope the committee takes it to heart and thinks about it between now and next year, because I'm more than happy to step aside as vice, still be here, still be active, still help out. But I think it's time somebody else should get in these roles and perhaps bring a different perspective and or just provide succession plan.
Good point.
Right, and
But I wouldn't want to recommend it now because we're right in the middle of budget season.
no, forget it, yeah, I mean, we'll not forget it, but yes, I agree with you 100%. And as I've said, every year that we've done this, my ego is not involved in being chair. If somebody else would like to step into this, God love you, I would be the one to nominate you. So, but we'll get through this year and then, we'll talk about it again at the end, but sorry about it falling through the cracks like that. I could have sworn that we did it.
I think it's when we
The
did it too.
bylaw doesn't require annual elections, it's more custom.
So I move we,
Adjourn.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Night, Rainey.